Hello biscuits, it's Cupcake Kami-sama back here and welcome to this month's video, which is a vlog of the 1 week I took off work in May and hopped around museums in Manchester area because I've been here for so long and there's still tons of places I haven't seen, and of course I dressed up for each of them, so let's get started. My week started off with going to the People's History Museum, and for that I thought I'd wear something for the people, which is this JSK from Metamorphose Tone de Vie, styled it very simply and very practically because I was walking to and from the museum, so I needed comfortable shoes, and I thought going with a neutral colour scheme and a more classic leaning style would be quite cute. The focus of the museum and the exhibit is very much on people's protest movement specifically and fighting for change, and before you even enter the museum you already get a taste of that. And by the way, apparently according to the quiz, I'm Sylvia Pankhurst. A trigger warning for the viewers that you may see images related to slavery, racism and violence, but for anyone visiting museum, the exhibits handle these themes with sensitivity and honesty. Once I got to this section of the museum, it was very interesting to see how little has changed over these years. History Museum is great if you're interested in getting an introduction to the history of protest movements and prefer to cover a range of topics to do further reading about later in your own time. It's free to visit, and the free bus number 1 will get you to it if you're starting off in Manchester city centre, making it a pretty accessible day out. On day 2, I went to the Manchester Jewish Museum, which I'd been wanting to visit for quite some time now. For that, I went with a classic cohort featuring this floral JSK from Innocent World to channel some spring vibes as well as some timeless elegance. Although my main point was featuring this tapestry bag that I'd picked up at the Festival of Vintage in York only the weekend before. If you're very dedicated, you can reach the museum on foot in around 10 to 15 minutes from Victoria Station, otherwise there are a few buses that will get you there in less than 5. As you may expect, the exhibits touch upon the subject of anti-Semitism, but on the whole the focus of the museum is on the wider Jewish community in the Greater Manchester area throughout history. The museum is divided into 3 main sections: how the people got here, the community that they built for themselves, and the old synagogue, which is currently deconsecrated. Don't worry, I checked with the staff before I filmed inside. The staff and volunteers inside all have personal connections and are able to tailor the information they give you to your level of knowledge, so absolutely make sure to ask them any questions you may have.
He kept saying, come over, it's much better. They went away at the time of a very bad programme where my uncle was crippled for life. His 2 children were killed in front of him and his wife.
The entry to the museum costs £6 for an adult, but the ticket is valid for 12 months after that. I will be making time to go back there because I really enjoyed visiting and discovering these very personal stories from real people. It felt like keeping them alive for longer. Also, the food at the cafe is delicious, and I say that based only on the cake. I'm definitely coming back to try some of the savouries. Wednesday was dedicated to the Museum of Transport, and boy, did I have a little outfit crisis. None of the ideas I had in my head worked out in practice, so this court is a last-minute change of plans that relied on tried and tested ideas. I still like this court though, and the JSK from Chrysanthemum's Concerto is really comfy. The museum is easy to get to by hopping onto a Bury Line tram and getting off at Queen's Road. From there, it's a short and straightforward walk, and you will find enough signs to guide you. Just like the Jewish Museum, admission costs £6, though this is for one-off entry. You do get a lot of old buses to enjoy hopping on and off though. Whilst it's called the Museum of Transport, the focus is on the public transport within the Greater Manchester area over the course of the 20th century, with only a few places outside that are near-ish. The feeling of time travel is very strong, and if like me you manage to go on a quiet day, you can really immerse yourself in what your life may have been like had you lived during the times when these buses were in regular operation. I couldn't resist stopping off and making sure that my uniform was all in order.
Bottom.
opinion, the museum is ideal for those with a passion for transport or its history, as the various buses do get a bit samey after a while if you're not as invested. Still, it was a very fun day out and well worth a visit. Thursday was a significant change of pace from that, as I went to the Pankhurst Centre. I would have worn the suffragette colours, but since I don't own any purple anymore, I turned to colour theory since blue and pink make purple. The overall vibes of the outfit with the hat and the jacket suited the theme in my head. Thanks to the hat, I didn't need to think too hard about what to do with my hair, and I am always up for whipping out these American Duchess shoes. The Pankhurst Centre is tucked away behind the Manchester University campus, which means plenty of buses to choose from to get there, as well as an easy walking route if you prefer that. Plus, should you decide to spend the whole day in that area, you will have loads of affordable food and drinks options, and if you wanted to, could then hop to either the Manchester Museum or the Whitworth Gallery, both of which are nearby. Entrance is free, but requires pre-booking, which you can easily do online. I really liked how the Pankhurst Centre was as much about the suffrage movement as it was about the whole Pankhurst family, even if the focus was predominantly on Emmeline. The Pankhurst Centre is a labour of love by the local community who fought to keep Emmeline Pankhurst's home from being demolished and then raised the funds to open it as a centre for learning about the suffragettes and the fight for women's rights. It's only open on Thursdays and Sundays, and I would recommend going on a Thursday if you can, as that will mean a quieter visit that will be a lovely respite from the busy city life that is literally just down the street from there. On a sunny day, the gardens are a welcoming space to find a moment of peace, and all in all, this was one of the highlights of my week. Friday was the one day when I had to get up early because I booked myself on a tour of Chatham Library. This of course meant wearing something that looked like I belong in academia or in a library, so although I ended up being a bit too warm in this cohort as the day was more muggy than I expected, all the lovely compliments from the staff at the library were worth it. Chatham Library is right outside Victoria Station and opposite the Football Museum, if that's something that floats your boat, and I've been past it countless times without realising that I can visit it. The only way to tour it is with a group tour that costs £12 since it's attached to a music school, but the library itself is open to the public free of charge if there is a book in its collection that you wish to read. The whole complex has changed hands several times throughout history, starting out as a monastery. A very fun and cute fact is that when it was a monastery, there were cats on the grounds, and we know that because of these tiny round cat flaps in the doors, which I think are the most adorable thing ever. These books were very clearly imprisoned for their crimes. Even though £12 is quite a lot, I felt like it was worth it for the guided tour. Again, this is on the grounds of an active music school, so unless you have a reason to visit the library itself, you wouldn't be allowed in, and even then you wouldn't get to see the other rooms. Although it is a shame that we couldn't stay in the library itself and soak the peaceful atmosphere for a bit longer. I guess I'll just have to find a book in their collection that is absolutely essential to me. Saturday was Coronation Day, so I did the sensible thing and stayed at home to avoid royalist crowds. But I still dressed up for the occasion because why the heck not? My plan for the day was to film some videos, so I needed a cord that would be quick to take off, hence the choice of an OP with an overdress. Not gonna lie, I did watch the coronation live and found most of it pretty meh, though I did make a few mental notes in case I ever write a coronation scene in a fancy book. Apparently, the trick is to do a lot of ridiculous back and forth with the full conviction that what you're doing isn't actually pointless. On the flip side to Saturday, on Sunday I was actually triple booked. My day started with a visit to Elizabeth Gaskell's house, included catching up with a friend, and ended on seeing the postmodern jukebox in concert, so I needed the mythical day to night look. The concert was the biggest inspiration for my look here, and this hairstyle low-key makes me want to cut my hair really short, though I'll resist that urge for now. Also, yes, I was wearing the same socks and shoes as I wore to the Museum of Transport, and I promise that they had been cleaned in between the two wears. Elizabeth Gaskell was a Victorian novelist, and her house is only a little bit further down the road as the Pankhurst Centre, though tucked even further behind the busy student areas. Admission costs £7, and just like the Manchester Jewish Museum, you can come back as many times as you want over the course of the year for that. It also ended up being an unexpected favourite during that week, tied with the Jewish Museum. I've never heard of Elizabeth Gaskell prior to my visit, and never read anything of hers, but after visiting, I am inspired to. The Gaskell's house has been restored to what it would have been when the family lived there, and everything is purposefully kept to be touched, sat on, pulled out, etc., to allow visitors to experience what life might have been like in there. As you can tell, I also got very much into spotting all the plush cats that were in each and every room. The story goes that Elizabeth Gaskell was good friends with Charlotte Bronte, But being very shy, when Charlotte was visiting and the Gaskells held a party, Charlotte hid behind the curtains, where she is still hiding to this day. Honestly, relatable. I only took this quick footage of my burger as I focused on catching up with my friends before it was time for the concert, where I managed a few very sneak clips. I never would have expected to see someone tap dancing to the Mario theme tune or to be moved to tears by a jazz cover of Metallica's Nothing Else Matters, and I'm grateful that I was able to experience that. And lastly, a bonus day. The Coronation Bank Holiday Monday was when my com went out for afternoon tea, and how could I have said no to that? The outfit was put together by Rolly, and if you want to hear a bit more about it, make sure to check out the video in the cards. We went to the Lost and Found, which is right in the city centre of Leeds, and the afternoon tea was really tasty. Though we all got way more excited by the bathrooms, which were massive, like a proper powder room at a ball. Had the lighting been a bit better, we probably would have had a massive photo shoot there. Thank you for coming with me on this week of adventure. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!